What's up, everybody? Welcome to another Friday Mastermind. Every Friday, 9 o'clock Pacific, we are here to bring on amazing guests, talk about how to solve some of the biggest challenges in the market today. But at the end of the day, it's all about productivity, how to optimize your productivity and success as a mortgage advisor. First time in a long time, I've had both Todd and Deborah as the co-hosts on this. What's up, Mr. Booksman?
You know, it is so good to see you here on Zoom. I mean, not that you and I don't talk all the time, but it is great to be here after event after event after event, some business, some fun, and to have Todd Ballenger on here will be great. So, Deborah, good to see you too. I know we talk all the time too.
I know, but it's been a while since the trio has been on one of these Friday calls all together. So, given a big digital hug right now to you guys. Miss you. We need to talk more. And, you know, Dave, I get to see you next month for a conference. I think we're both speaking on stage together.
Are you going to be at Renee's event?
I'll be at Renee's event too. I forgot that's in a week and a half.
Yeah. In a week and a half, and then we'll share a stage together for Golden Empire Mortgage.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Sounds
Looking
good.
forward to that now. So I have been traveling a lot. I was at Housing Wire event past 3 days in Austin, Texas. It was fantastic. I had I think about 12 really high value meetings with some just change agents, heads of production, CEOs, companies that are, they're doing the right things. I did I led and facilitated a panel with Brian Hale, legendary, CEO, was the head of production for Countrywide. He's the CEO of Stearns Mortgage, MetLife Mortgage, and now he, mentors and CEOs a lot of executives. Also on my panel was James Heck, who's head of all channels for NewRez. So, I mean, he manages portfolio, distributed retail, their version of wholesale, and so the panel was called Moneyball Mortgage, something I have been interviewing leaders about for a long time. And we're in a market where we need to look at new numbers. We need to do new things. We need to try new things. So not that we're going to have a Moneyball conversation, Mr. Todd Ballenger, but I guarantee this is a guy, our guest today is Todd Ballenger. I've interviewed him, countless times. He's created a lot of content in our community. He's been a pioneer in mortgage advice for over 2 decades. Todd, did you and I, was it when I started Mortgage Coach like 26 years ago that we really started getting to know each other? Or was
I think it was 1997 was my memory of kind of when we first started kind of connected. So I think, what year did you start the business?
Did we just lose Todd, guys?
No, we heard him.
Okay, you cut off for me for a bit. So one more thing, guys. Todd is a real professor and teacher. He's a professor for North Carolina. Are you still part of the entrepreneur program there? I mean, what is your specialty at University of North Carolina?
Yeah, we work with we have a couple different things. We have entrepreneurship is one area, business. The honors program is my main focus, which is about 2,000 students. We call them high achieving, intellectually curious is sort of our brand for that particular student. And then we have CAN, which is like the Carolina Angel Network, which also helps to provide funding for startups and on the venture side. So a lot of fun stuff.
And didn't you recently get some award? I can't remember what it was, but it sounded pretty awesome. You were going to get.
Yeah, we just won the award for out of 650 universities, our program was the most engaged. So it's kind of the KPI standard these days for students is engagement, because there's a lot of noise, right? That, it's like you're at Disney World, there's a lot going on and you're trying to get them to engage with each other. And so we've created a program that matches students with alumni to try to create mentoring and opportunities for them to learn and grow over their 4 years, create a personal advisory board, of people that are doing what they hope to do one day. And we built technology with a partner. It's actually a technology that they run, and then we work with them, but we just happened to benchmark #1 this year. So that was pretty cool.
Bro, I mean, we might need to do a call on that, like how to, one of the top universities in the country And I'm sure all 600 were among the 600 top universities in America.
Oh yeah, it's a
we're
great
number
group to be
one in engagement. Like that is, yeah. Let's make a note, Todd. If you're cool, would you be able to share some of the best practices and do a call around that?
Yeah. I mean, it's been an experiment of 4 years of how do you cut through the noise with students. And I'm sure, I mean, this is part of what our conversation is going to be about today is how do you get people to want to talk to you about anything, right? That's not, watching a show on Netflix or something else. I mean, that's kind of easy, but how do you get people to talk to you when rates are high and there's lots of distractions?
Sweet. Well, Todd and Deborah, jump in anytime. But I am going to kick it off with Todd. And you wanted the title today is called Missing Money. So, why did you pick that as the core topic? And what does that even mean?
Well, all right. So as I was saying, it's, there used to be things you could go to in certain environments, like when rates were really high, you could talk about mortgage acceleration. But when everyone's got a really low mortgage acceleration is not that sexy. So you're trying to find things. What is it that people might be interested in talking about? And the bar is not necessarily a transaction. It's, will someone call me back? Will they follow up? Will they engage with me in some particular way? So I saw a show, I think it was Good Morning America. Someone did this little show on missing money. And I was like, now that's the kind of thing that people are interested in. At least I believe they would be. And so we've been working within our group to create a whole campaign around this for clients because there's a multiple entendres here, right? There's literally missing money, which we're going to talk about, and we're going to have some fun with you guys today. We're going to find you guys some money on the call live. What do you think?
Brilliant.
Sounds good. All right.
I like.
All right. So we're going to show you how to do that, and then how you can use it to potentially leverage that into a conversation with a realtor, a conversation with a financial advisor. Ways to get your clients to want to respond to you about something that they would find interesting, and you can package it around a treasure hunt or whatever. But we've been playing with it, and we've had some really lovely stories of people finding large sums of money. One of our guys that is in our coaching group had a friend who found a $250,000 insurance policy that was sitting out there that they did not know was available to them. So my parents, I found an insurance policy, an old policy for my parents and stuff. So there's missing money, but there's also the missing money of what? Making financial mistakes, not understanding money, not taking advantage of a number of different things. So the cool thing is you can also play off of this long term, right? And say there's lots of places you may be missing money, but this is a real obvious one. There is $50 billion right now that is sitting out there that's unclaimed. And that's money that you could be claiming right now. Can I share my screen, Dave?
Yeah, go for it.
So I put together on our nonprofit site under education, it's called Missing Money. And I put together a summary of what we're going to play with today with you guys, this particular site. And I'll show you how it works and how easy it is, and give you some tips that we've been learning over the last month or so of playing with this. We've got a bunch of additional places because as we've been playing around with this, we've realized there's state treasury websites, there's FDIC, which is where the bank funds that have been come back. See, maybe you closed an account out and you didn't know about it. That money could be sitting there held by the FDIC because they didn't know where to get that money to you. Maybe you moved left and opened an account with Wells Fargo in a new market, but you left a bank, you were with Bank of America in another state, right? There may be money that, it could have been a check that was returned to you that was never deposited, but guess what? They don't know how to get it to you. So you have to go find this. So it's a bit of a treasure hunt. There's some cool articles in here from Forbes and USA Today that we found about it to kind of provide credibility for it. Because honestly, one of the first things that we found in playing around with this, we've got some letters we've sent out to clients and different things that people don't think it's real, right? They're like, are you kidding me? There's real money out there that could be mine. So I'm going to do something here. I'm going to put in Savage, last name, Dave. This is all public. So one of the strategies is you can search for other people. And what a great introduction to call a realtor and just say, yeah, I don't know. I called one of my neighbors and said, I just found $250 for you. And he's like, what? So, all right. the first thing I can look at is there's a Dave Savage PayPal 25 to 50. Now, one thing that I'll tell you is if it's 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000, they will not show if it's over 100. Or if it's really big, it could be undisclosed, right? And it's just coming from a different place. But the first thing Dave would do is look and see, are any of these addresses places that I may have been involved? Like here's one that's Santa Rosa. That might be one that's a hit for you, Dave, right? So it's between 50 and 100. So you already know right there what this thing's going to look like. Here's a Charles Schwab. That's over 100. That's Laguna Beach, Huntington Beach, 50 to 100. So you're going to start looking for the really obvious.
To go get.
Huh?
I got money. I got missing money.
I'm assuming some of the
Man, Dave's buying lunch next time you guys get together.
There's Comcast over 100, Dave. That's Santa Rosa as well. I think I remember you being up in that part of the world, right?
Yeah, I was.
So when you can, in some cases, get info, and what that means is if that info is going to say you've got to go to the state site to actually do your claim. And in some cases, you can click the claim button through here and actually do the claim. Now, I found 7 pretty quickly that were in my name. But what started to be really interesting is I started searching old company names, right? Like if I were to, for example, change this to just Mortgage Coach, right? And just put in a company name. I've got Mortgage Coach, American Express, PayPal. So when there's money that you're owed and they can't find you, one of 2 things happens. It either goes to the undisclosed property associated with that money, or it goes to the state where the company is domiciled. So like I found 3 things for Charles Schwab, and it's in California, but it was based on an account I had a long time ago in North Carolina, right? So Schwab had money for me. I didn't get it. They sent it to California's unclaimed place, and it's sitting there today. Another tip is you can put in old addresses. The biggest claim I found so far for me was an insurance claim on a rental property I owed, and they paid the claim to the property address. And so I just happened to see it by mistake. I put in my middle name and first name and flipped them, and I got a couple hits there, which is also the name of my business. And then I found stuff under my business. So you want to kind of play around with different things. With my parents, I found an insurance policy that had my mom's first name and her sister's first name as the claimant. So these are people, think about it, these are people possibly in a call center somewhere. They're getting this stuff, and what are they doing? They're rapidly keying it in, and they're possibly making mistakes. And that's why you didn't get it to begin with. So if I put in Bookspan Todd and I hit it, wow, there's a lot of Bookspans in here. So, he's going to say, are you in Phoenix, Todd?
I am in Phoenix, and those are my children's names next to my name in some of those.
Wow. So, these can be a relative. One of the people that found a 50,000 one was a deceased relative had left them in a will, and because they weren't at the reading and were not aware of it, that insurance proceed gets paid to the state unclaimed administrator, and it sat there for years and years and years. So this could be your 3 kids were left, a little bit of money in a will. It could be an old trust. You never can tell with these things, but each of these, once you click the claim button, you'll notice it'll take you into a queue, and you can start filling out the information. Usually you need a driver's license or some proof that you live there, that you're at this address. If it's not an address you recognize, like you can go in, for example, I recommend reversing it, like doing Bookspan Todd in reverse, because this is where I found a lot of stuff for me was just my first name and last name was reversed. Probably someone entering it in the system and got the last name and the first name wrong. And you'll notice some of these will be the same and some of these will be different. But search for addresses, search for old companies, search for your parents. I found things for my parents. I found things for my sisters, just messing around. And then of course it becomes like a treasure hunt, right? Because once you start playing around with this, you're going to start thinking of other places where you might want to go. Your DOBORAH.
Deborah, yeah.
Yep.
How do you do the address part? Because it looks like you can only do the name up at the top.
Yeah, so you could do city, like I can say California. I'm sorry, I can do city, or I can just do state. If I want to go in, if there's a lot of stuff and say I just want to search California, then that's just going to bring up all the Deborah Birds in California. And again, just look and see, look at the business name and say, have I ever done business with them? Have I ever had a health insurance plan with Kaiser? You know, and if it's under 25, you might be like, okay, this could be a copay that I was returned for $20. Do I want to file a claim for $20? I don't know. I like to look for the ones that are 50 to 100 or undisclosed, or the ones like this. I found a $1,500 one on PayPal that was an insurance claim that I didn't know had been paid for something I'd bought a long time ago. That was like the deductible or whatever, and it was in my name, but PayPal had it. And even though I've got a PayPal account, it was under a different name. And that's my biggest one personally so far. Actually, no, the insurance claim was a little bit bigger than that one.
I mean, so, Todd Bookspan, did you see all of yours that said undisclosed? Like, you could have lots of money out there for you.
You know, my last name is so cool. Bookspan is actually the name of the Book of the Month Club. So the rest of those were actually like probably like returned books to the Book of the Month Club. But yes, nonetheless, if I could claim all that stuff, I would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's great.
So if, let's say, I'm just gonna, this is a weird one here. I'm not gonna tell you what I'm doing until I do it. But so, okay. Like this was a financial advisor that I used to have a partnership with and referred to. Oh, that's in California. Let's select all. So imagine you've got a financial advisor or a realtor or someone, right? You could go in and put in that state and that person's name and just see if you get a hit, and then use that as an introduction to make a call to them to say, hey, I'd like to talk to you about something that we think your clients might find interesting. I did this and I happened to find something that was interesting. So like I could put in here, if I wanted to whittle this down a little bit, North Carolina. And some of you guys, you're busy, you're executives, you could give this to your kids and get them on a scavenger hunt. Or in my case, I asked my wife to go through and say, just file all the claims for everything that I found. And then she went out and looked for stuff. And for her mom, we found 3 or 4 things for her mom right away. But so look, so here's an old advisor I used to work with. There's Waste Industries. Here's another one. They're showing up. These are all North Carolina. And actually, I happen to know some of these people are related because we were friends back in the day. So I've done this with some tennis buddies. It's kind of cool, right? And remember, that's just the missing money site. It's linking you out to the state sites. So if I were to, like when I did, see if my first one comes up here, the ones that I've submitted. So I did the easy claims right away for me in North Carolina. I'm just wondering if they still show up after you claim them.
So can I ask you an odd question, Todd?
Sure,
so like I just Googled a realtor friend of mine, and I see that there's something from a mortgage servicing company, and my guess is it's a house that they let go to foreclosure. So, because I know them well enough to know that. So is there any potential liability that someone might run into if they reach out and try to find one of these old found money things?
Actually, here's one of the biggest scams. And there are huge companies that, because this is all public, because it's all in the public domain, they go out and they do the search and they're looking for the over 100s to start with. And then they'll call you and say, hey, Todd, I just want you to know I found you some missing money. I know it's $100 or more. I will help you get access to that money for 50% of anything that I get you. And then they send you a 1-page contract and you sign it. And then all they do is push to you the claim information, because they can't claim it for you. You have to claim it yourself. But now they've got a contract that says they get 50% of whatever you collect in that process. So I could say it's a scam. It's not really a scam. I mean, they're notifying people. I found the first time I heard about this, which was years ago, someone contacted me and I had a mortgage commission. It was a $5,600 commission that was paid to my company that was at the North Carolina. Someone had found it, right? And they called me and said, we know that there's over $100 here. and I'm like, well, wait a minute, if you found this, I could find it. And I went and found it. And I don't know how. It's from a closing. It'd been paid to my old company. And I had to show the company wasn't even around, but I had my old information for capital savings. I sent that capital savings information and they released the claim. So you could help somebody in this situation. But again, this is all public domain. There are companies out there that will actually do this for a fee or for a share of the commissions. And you can go right from here. There's this National Association of Unclaimed Property, National Association of Treasurers. These are other places that you can search. And we've got other listed for you here, like the FDIC, the IRS. Where's my refund? If you've got money there, the IRS still owes you for something. They couldn't get it to you. You moved. You can go there and search for overpayments and refunds, et cetera. So you can go down this rabbit hole as much as you want. I've just found finding money is something that people are interested in, and especially in this current environment, right? So it's a great conversation to have and a way to engage people.
Sweet. So how do we like that, everybody? Give us a little
Man, I know we're all going to be doing the rest of the day.
I know.
And I would think strategically here, like I love, Todd, that you said, hey, we're trying to figure out what emails we can send and what we can do to activate relationships. And, we all want to be abundant, and, you have to decide. I mean, I'm personally not going to go put this on Facebook and say, hey, go find your money. I'm going to actually be strategic and use it to connect with people, just as Todd said. So I would just think about how maybe you're going to use this strategically, and some ways that you can absolutely get someone to return a phone call that may not have returned your phone call before.
Yeah, imagine going into a realtor's office and doing an open house event where clients can come in and you'll search for them and find them opportunities while they're there. And maybe 1 in 3 find something, but all 3 of you have found something. I found the hit rate on this has been really high. So if you could get a realtor to say, I can't get clients to do anything right now, but maybe they come by the office for bagels and free money, right? Who knows?
So
You could go to the show I saw where they were at a state fair, and they were sitting there with a table and just asking people to come by, and they were putting their name in and showing them that they had this sort of money that was out there, and then using it as a prospect, kind of a lead generation opportunity.
yeah, no doubt. So in terms of, first of all, if anybody has any questions, put your questions in whatever platform you're in, whether you're watching this on Facebook, if you're watching this on YouTube, we do monitor that. Even if you're watching the recording, which is the majority of how folks watch this Friday call, put your questions down below. And then Todd, I do want to, at some point before I lose you, ask a few things about that, engagement award that you won, but what else do you want to cover in terms of just, either missing money or things you want to make sure we cover during today's mastermind?
Yeah. So I saw pop in here about social security number to claim the money. So yeah. So when you go to the actual state site, they're going to ask you for that information. It is a secure site. It's with the actual state. I know that you might be nervous, but it's no different than logging into your bank account or anything else. It's not like it's public. It's going to be secure. All of these states have pretty secure protocols. And, I've entered mine in. I mean, I feel like everybody in the world has everything about everybody anyway these days, but that would be kind of a low risk kind of a thing. Now, you might say, all right, I got one claim and it's under $25. That tells you right there if your time's worth doing it. But I put a folder together with the information that they were asking me for. And so anytime I do it now, I can just click my folder. I've got the picture of my driver's license. I've got my bank statement with the address and my, balance grayed out, that kind of a thing. So it's just easy to do, if you find that you've got a bunch of these.
Did you see that she asked, is it a direct deposit or an actual check back?
It depends on how the state handles it. Once they verify your claim, they reach out to you and say, we verified your claim, and then the state may send you a check. I've gotten checks before. I don't know that if I've ever gotten a direct deposit. I think it's always been a check. But I would
imagine most
working now from this site, so.
Government folks are still sending checks. It's pretty, that's what I would expect, but who knows?
So again, just find things, ask yourself, is this something that might land in a positive way that if you think this is sort of, what does this have to do with what I do as a lender? Well, look, if you're managing liabilities for your clients, you're helping them. We see clients are going into debt more right now because they have to. They're not getting that opportunity to refinance to lower rates like maybe they'd hoped when they bought a house a year or two ago. I've talked to people recently saying they've got clients with 160, 170,000 in credit card debt, and they're now getting to the point where that blended rate between their 4% or 3% mortgage and the 150,000 in credit card or other debt at 21%, they're better off refinancing because they've crossed that 7 or 8% threshold. So if they don't do that, that's missing money to me, right? They're missing an opportunity. Maybe they're scared to sell their house because they aren't sure where they're going to live. Helping them figure out now might be a good time to sell, rent for a while if you have a life change. These are all missing money conversations. It's just tying it back into the brand so that, like, if someone says, "Oh, Todd's in the missing money business now," they're missing the point. This is about what I've always done, right? Helping people avoid unknown and unnecessary wealth transfers when they buy, sell, or refinance a house. I've been doing that for 35 years. It's just one more way that someone might be missing money. So you do want to tie it back in to your brand in a way that people realize this is something I do right now. This is something I think people might care about compared to, say, a rate and term refi, where there's not going to be as many people on a per capita basis saying, yeah, sign me up for that.
Yeah, and I just want to also push folks when it comes to missing money to think, building wealth with real estate. Like if you have a kid going to college and you could have bought a duplex, triplex, or house hacked, but you didn't, that's missing money. There's a lot of folks that, while they may have a great interest rate and they don't want to sell the home, they could be moving up. And if values are going to keep appreciating at 4%, and they want that move up home, and they can afford to rent and move up, that's missing money. Even someone who's got low interest rates today that could move up, in most cases, they can buy the house at today's rate. They can, date the rate and refinance it. And then if homes are going to keep appreciating, but they didn't move up now, they waited, that's all missing money, so the list goes on. And by the way, I would push everybody, Deborah, what are your thoughts about any one-to-many strategies around this?
That my brain is kind of exploding with this whole thought of missing money. I love the concept. Todd and I are fresh off of the Be Wealthy event, which kind of goes over the same strategies of how to build wealth and how to use and leverage real estate or leverage good debt to help build wealth. So my brain's kind of exploding, Todd. Thank you for that. But I was also thinking, what a powerful way for those who struggle with the annual mortgage reviews right now. I've been talking to clients and they're like, yeah, I just don't know, why should I reach out to my client in 2021 who, that has 2.75% rate? Like, should I really be doing an annual review for them? And sometimes it's just saying, congratulations. Like, I know you were a first-time home buyer then, and you were getting out of renting for the first time, and you were really nervous to go above ask to win that offer. And look, like, you should be very proud of yourself. You've now acquired this much in wealth, but also adding to the conversations now for your annual reviews. I think this would be a great best practice, is to throw in the missing money, link, and see if we can help discover some undisclosed money and then help them reinvest it. Or again, make that the talking point of, now let's look at your debts and be the manager of the liabilities and not just the debt seller. Absolutely,
Deborah. And reaffirming, when you do an annual review, the annual review is always benched off of now. So if you have a 3% mortgage and today rates are, say, 8, then you can show them the 5% savings that they're earning based on a prior decision.
Oh, I love that.
That is real savings that they have locked in. If they were in Europe or they were in Canada, where everything's an arm, right? They've already indexed out of that savings and they're back to paying market rates. In the US, you're saying, look at what we did in this prior transaction. It was so smart of you to lock in at 3% right now. You're saving 4.5% on your actual rate. That's $1,287 a month that you're saving, right, by having that particular rate. Now, it's part of the problem, right? People don't want to give that up, but they're not going to give it up anyway. So why not make them feel good about it, and know at some point, right, that's going to change. The other thing, and just to get geeky, is rates are lower now on a real basis than they were back when rates were at, say, 4%. And so this is a thing that people understand sometimes, but let's just say that your borrowing cost is 4%, and you borrow $100,000 at 4%, and you have $100,000 in cash, and it was sitting in the bank earning what? 0, right? So if you had $100,000 borrowing at 4% and $100,000 in cash in the bank earning 0, your real rate, let's just say in that case, is 4%. Let's say today you can borrow at 7.5%, okay? But you can find money market funds, cash funds paying 5.5%. So if I borrow today at 7.5%, $100,000, but I have $100,000 over here sitting in a money market earning 5.5%, my real rate is 2%. Because I'm earning 5.5% on the 100, and I'm borrowing 100 at 7.5%. Before, I was borrowing 100 at 4 and earning 0 on the other side. So the 4% gap is actually smaller. So the real rate, I know it's painful because, you know, if I buy a house right now, I'm going to pay it 7.5%. But when you work with financial advisors and higher net worth people, they're people that have more cash than they have investments. To them, the real rate is actually much lower than it was before, because their choice to borrow at 7.5% and earn 5.5%, and that's treasury, it's literally guaranteed, has compressed. So I'm kind of geeking out there, but it's just this real rate dilemma and inflation and stuff like that is something a lot of people don't really think about when it comes to long-term impact of their money.
That's
missing
perfect.
money, and that's missing money.
Talk about a perspective change. Wow. Yep. That was, guys, if you guys like that, make sure you use your reactions in the Zoom feature. I mean, I hope I'm not the only one. My mind is just like spinning now of different ideas. So any other little gems like that, Todd, that you want to coach us up on?
Oh, we need a few more hours. No, I swear, if you'd asked me to think of something, I have to, like, you know, fire off.
One question or thought that I have is if you were going to create like an educational series for your database of clients, so not necessarily for your agent partners, but, you know, the first one could, and it could all encompass this whole missing money concept and, you know, starting with this link, but what would you say would be your next 2 or 3 classes that, based off some of the research and data that you see, would be the biggest value based off current needs?
Current needs related to housing or just money, wealth?
No, just money and wealth. I mean, debts. Yeah,
I always start back at what I call the 3-bucket fundamentals, which is, you know, your first bucket is your day-to-day cash and cash flow, which is 30 days. Your second bucket is that next 60 days. That's sort of just the unexpected stuff. And then everything else is the big bucket that's growing and creating wealth over time. So as a framework, it allows you to then start talking about, where does the house fit into that? Where does college funding? Where does, you know, your bonus at the end of the year? I mean, you can fit everything into that rubric, because once the first bucket's full and the second bucket's full, the third bucket's really everything else. And that's, you know, you're spending money now. And the third bucket is you spending money in the future when you're not making as much, or you don't want to work as hard, or whatever. That's, at that point in time, that bucket becomes your current sort of spending bucket. But I like just creating real simple sort of things like that you can work with. And you can tie in, well, a HELOC could be your second bucket. So if you've got a $500,000 house with $200,000 mortgage, and you set up a $200,000 HELOC, I'm not borrowing on it, but now I have a $200,000 second bucket that's set up that covers any shock or life event that I wouldn't have been prepared for. So now I really only have 2 buckets to worry about: my current 30-day bucket for my income from my work, and anything left over at the end of the month goes right to my big bucket, which is long-term wealth creation, right? So you can tie it back into the house and tie it back into liability management strategies that help people start to think about, wow, this is actually simple. If I have more money than month, anything left over goes to my big bucket. If I have less money than month, there's nothing to do. I need to what? Keep putting money in that 30-day bucket. Once it gets full, whatever your number is, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, once that bucket's full and I've got all the money I need in that first bucket, everything goes out into that big future bucket. And that big future bucket now can be 5.5% treasuries. I mean, that's insane. We didn't have that a few years ago, to have that kind of income that's coming in off of that stuff. And that won't last. Once rates come down, guess what? That'll come down too, which will be good for the mortgage industry, but it'll change some of the savings dynamics. But just simple things like that, if you can, we've got that in our calm class on Knife. We go through and talk about the 3 buckets and some of that kind of stuff. But it just gives people a framework, because if they can't get through the first 30 days, everything else is sort of lost, right? You gotta have more money than month to start saving and building wealth.
So can we talk about that? Yeah, I know you have some free content that you offer, and then I also know that you've got your certification that people can pay and sign up for. Can you kind of point us in those directions? Because I think it'd be great to get people fully aware of all the cool things that you do.
Absolutely. So we're always throwing up new education and stuff at knife.org. I just put that into the chat. One of the things that we have there now is we partner with Savology, which is a money management technology that helps to provide financial guidance and advice. It's like $6-7 a month, but it's free. You can access it for free through our nonprofit. So we should talk about that, Dave, for some of the stuff you're doing with your nonprofit as well, because we could extend that out to you guys. We bought a national license for that, and we're working very closely with them to kind of develop some of the technology and literacy stuff that's there. So that's a fun one. And then, Bar Smart University is where, we try to, I can't type, I think I got that right. Yeah, that's where you have stuff on our CLA and our FAST designation. The CLA is our certification, which is where we just talk about how you think about this stuff and the way you do your business. And then we have our new FAST certification, which is basically taking that out to advisors. How do you build a network of financial advisors referring business to you consistently? And I haven't done this in a while, Dave, but I've got a coupon that I'll put in there, coupon code. I put it together. Oh, here it is. MCVIP. If you put that in, you'll get 500 off the CLA designation. So it's just for Mortgage Coach folks, but I'll leave that up through the end of the month. If you're thinking about learning and getting your CLA, you can get $500 off. Just for being a Mortgage Coach person. Thank you. Yeah, and then you'll see there's all kinds of other stuff. We have a blog, we have a Facebook page where we put a lot of stuff out. I mean, we throw a lot of content out there. Overactive pituitary gland, something going on, I don't know, but feel free to click around and ask questions and engage any way you want. We have a lot of great conversations with people out there who are thinking about, I need new channels of business right now and stuff, and that's sort of our specialty is accountants, financial advisors, insurance agents, and how to build relationships with them too.
Sweet. So anything else around this, call it missing money topic? Because I do want to go back to, how you guys are getting engagement, record-breaking engagement at the University of Carolina. I think that would be really interesting and useful to know. But anything else on missing money?
No, that's the beauty of it. It's just so simple. I mean, sometimes, it's just cool to have something that you don't have to overthink, right? There's a lot you can do with it creatively, marketing wise and otherwise, but it's just simple. Do I have money or not? And how do I go find it? And then if I find money here, where else might I be missing money opportunities? And I think that's where it leads into a really cool extended conversation with a realtor, with a financial advisor, with an existing client. This is when you don't actually have to overthink.
Sweet. Very, very cool. So what, from that award that you won, and you think about how you had among the best, metrics and success, what are 2 or 3 things that you think you guys do really well that were pivotal to that level of engagement?
Starting with technology at the center of our strategy, because there's nothing that gives you leverage like technology. So a lot of processes were manual, meaning everyone was a librarian trying to remember where stuff was and how to get it to the right person at the right time. So you're never going to have enough resources. I've just learned that, through 30 plus years of businesses, you could always have more resources. So It's more about, how do you creatively solve a problem? So we started with technology. We got the right technology in place to work as a hub for all of our engagement. That means all of our resources went to one place. If it's a resume template for how to do the best resume you can do, what happens when you've got 6 people that have 6 different versions? It actually creates confusion for the end customer, in this case, the student. And in our case, they pay us with their attention. They don't have money, right? They're not paying us with anything but attention. So we have to reduce the friction for them in anything that we're doing. So technology was where we started. The second we actually did is we put together a mandatory course where we auto-enrolled them in a course to learn about how to use some of this stuff, so that you've kind of got an imprinting window anytime you meet a new person, right? You've only got a certain amount of time before they form their own opinion of you or decide if you're valuable or not. So for us, we wanted them to form an opinion very quickly that this is a valuable resource. And so we did that by creating just some simple curriculum to teach them how to use the tool. And then the hardest thing, which is actually the best thing.
How light was it? Was it like a 5-minute lesson? Was it a 30?
No. We started out with individual little modules, and we ended up making it a semester-long course. So it's our course once a week for 14 weeks. So, but they're learning all kinds of stuff in that. They're learning how to build a LinkedIn profile that is going to be engaging to a future employer, how to network with alumni. So we've expanded that course, but in the process, we keep pointing back to the central hub, right? Because I can tell you one of the biggest things that we noticed, Dave, is originally when we rolled this out, 80% of our traffic came from an email. Right? So we would send an email, they would react to the email, click a link, and they would come visit. Now, 80% of our traffic is domain specific, meaning they go there for whatever it is that they need. So it took about 2 years culturally to start seeing that really take shape. But we just kept putting things in the hub so that they knew, oh, the templates are there. Oh, the events are there. Oh, there's course material. Oh, my friends are there, right? You keep kind of directing them back, and then eventually they just like, I just go there. There's an old story a friend of mine told me. He was a franchisor for Carl's Jr., the chain. And he said that, let's say you got an intersection and there's 4 parcels there at the intersection. And I build a Carl Jr. store there. You would think I'd want to be the only person there, right? That I'd have a monopoly. But that's actually not the case. I want a McDonald's, and I want a Taco Bell, and I want a Pizza Hut on the 4 corners if I can. And I was like, why? That doesn't make sense. You'd think you want to be the only food place there. And he's like, if I'm the only food place there, they have to know they want a Carl's Jr. burger to come there. If there are 4 places, they'll come to the intersection and then decide what to eat. So I want them always coming to that intersection and deciding where to eat, because I've actually won. I got a 25% chance of a bigger opportunity. So we thought of this as a hub to say, I want them to come there and then figure out what they want. What do I need? It's all right here. So thinking of it as a hub and getting them to come back again and again and just make it, that muscle memory, right? That this is where I go is a big part of it. And then, people are important too. The coaches, having people around that can be there to support them when they get stuck or they need help. But the technology is doing a lot of the heavy lifting, because it gives us a steady state on-demand tool for them to come get information when they need it. And everything we do about 85 events a semester. We record them, we put them in there so they can go there. If they miss something, they can reference it later. They want to go get a job with JP Morgan. There's interviews with students who got jobs with JP Morgan there they can go watch and learn from, right? So again, everything has to kind of keep reinforcing that sort of muscle memory.
Cool. Todd or Deborah, any questions or comments on that?
I mean, that's just fascinating, right? I mean, what a great resource for everyone who's involved. I mean, what do you feel like is kind of the undiscovered piece that others here could benefit from?
Culture takes time. Culture, as we know, always trumps strategy, right? But you need a strategy to develop the culture, but eventually the culture is going to keep winning. It's that rolling force. So if you're calling on financial advisors, you've never done that before. The thought that you're going to call a financial advisor and they're going to say, here are my clients, it's just silly. It takes time. You got to build a relationship with them over time. They have to start looking to you as a resource, thinking of you as a hub of information and tools and other things to answer questions. And if you're willing to sort of play the long game, and that long game for you might be 3 months, 6 months. People joke, they'll say, I wish I'd started working with advisors a year ago. I was like, yeah, if you started a year ago, they'd be referring business to you right now. But then the second question is, well, when are you going to start? You're going to wait another 6 months or 9 months, or is it going to be a year from now and they're referring to you and you're going, wow, I'm glad I started doing that. At some point, you just have to start, right, doing this stuff, even though it seems like I need something right now, immediate. This stuff takes time. And culturally, we were playing the long game. We knew we had 4 years for this project to prove that we could do it. And now in proving that we do it, we've gotten additional funding to grow it. And we've got, guess what? Donors want to support winning opportunities because they want to be part of things that are winning. And advisors and realtors, everyone wants to be part of stuff that's winning and working. And the more you can provide social proof, it's ironic or maybe it's cruel, it's compounding. It's like, you want to pet the dog that's fat and cute and you want to leave the old scraggly mud alone, right? And they're the ones that need it the most. But I mean, just the reality of things is people like to be part of things that are winning and working.
And did I catch it? So a couple of things I've taken from this whole conversation is it's, consistency over time. It builds culture. And then, when I asked you, why are you so successful? You talked about like, we're teaching them how to use the program. And like, that's part of what you do. And it made me think like, hey, here at Trust Engine and Mortgage Coach, we've got a platform. I mean, I've been doing this YouTube channel forever, but I almost never really teach people how to use it. Like I don't tell them that, hey, if you want to, every time I've interviewed Todd Ballenger, you want to pull it up, you could do a search on that. I don't like talk about how to use the community. So one of my takeaways is maybe I should be doing that more. And then anyone that's listening to this, I know one of the hallmarks of some of the most successful loan officers is they've taught their realtors how to refer them, and they've taught their realtors how to use their team and their platform. And we all know that it's not like you just do it once and it's like, okay, they're trained, they do it. I mean, I've interviewed top loan officers and it's like, they're never trained. And you always have to remind them the best way to do things. So is that fair to say that's like a takeaway for, one for me and two for our audience is that you got to have a platform, in a community. It needs to be valuable. The content itself has to be valuable, but then you got to constantly train, constantly teach, constantly remind. And that is what you guys do really well.
Absolutely. People want pathways. They want to know that there's a journey worth taking, and that if they take it, that they can walk a path that at least gets them in the right direction. They want to be able to wander the path and go left and right when they want to. They want a 3-lane, 4-lane highway so they can feel like I'm driving my car and I'm making my own choices. But they also don't want to worry that they're going to get lost. And sometimes when you have a lot of resources, you actually create a contra indicator for them of, I won't know how to use it. How in the world am I going to figure all this out? So giving them a journey that says, start here. That's what we did with that class. And then we started mapping out key milestones like benchmarks. By the end of your sophomore year, you need to have this done. That actually takes pressure and stress off them, because the FOMO is that I'm going to miss something important. And we're saying, as long as you have this done by 4th semester, you're okay. And that's going to be LinkedIn profile, cover letter, basic resume, 3 to 5 personal advisors that are alumni in your space that are going to help you get a job. I mean, you're kind of thinking you can do that same thing for anyone, right? Like, by the end of, your, this year, you might want to do these things, and here's how to do it. And here's how you can find that pathway within the Mortgage Coach materials and videos, and maybe even build a little pathway or journey for them, for a newbie. Where do I start, right? That's a question that's come up a lot. As a newbie, how do I learn liability management? Why is it going to help me? Okay, yeah, you don't need to learn sophisticated strategies right now. You just need to learn the basics of how to talk to a person in a way that increases your opportunity for yield.
Dave, the first thing I thought of too was this trust engine Facebook group. I mean, there's a lot of ways to leverage just even social media if you actually use all the features. And that's kind of the buzzword right now in a lot of the different, CMO groups that I'm in is community. There's a difference on just building an audience or following and then having a community where people can upload things to the file section. Like I see you're showing the screen right now, but it's like, this is of value. Now, also with just a Facebook page or like an Instagram account, don't forget, the highlights section, because to Todd's point, people are lazy. They want to remove the friction of, what it takes if there's a problem that they have and they want to be able to find it. How have you set up highlights or even the different playlist on your YouTube channel? That I kind of think of it like Netflix, if there's different genres and if someone's looking at, upsizing, downsizing, right sizing, debt consolidation, like, do you have different playlists set up where people could binge watch, making it easy for them to find the content that they're looking for based on the problem that they currently have? So there's lots of ways to build community just with social now.
Yeah, and I pulled up, the group as you were talking. The file section is one of those little hidden resources that's just amazing. So much value in here. It's kind of incredible. Discussions. I had just noticed when we were talking that I hadn't been keeping the featured items updated. So, boom, they're updated right now. And then just remember, in all these platforms, guys, there's search. Todd, just put in his last name, and all the things Todd has talked about will show up. So I don't know exactly how to.
One thing I'll parrot or echo on what Deborah said. I'm lazy, and I'm lazy in that I'll work very hard to do things in the simplest way possible. That's why I love AI, and things. I'm like, holy cow, I can do stuff in 10 minutes. It used to take me hours to do. But when a student, we tell them to network. It's like saying, Todd Bookspan, I want you to go to the gym. It's good for you, right? That's one way to do it. And you might agree or not agree. But like we say, look, if you want an internship, it takes about 86 applications to secure an internship cold. That's based on LinkedIn statistical data, right? If you network with someone and ask them to help you, okay, send them your resume at that company, it takes on average 11 attempts to get an internship. So if you don't want to network, that's fine. Guess what? You're going to pay it in effort in a different way. You're going to have to look at possibly 60. You could get lucky and be the first one, but that means someone also took 190, based on averages, right, to get that thing. So do you want to go with the 86? Or you want to go with the 11? Okay, I'd rather do the 11. All right, then you need to start looking at creating a personal advisory board for yourself of alumni that you can talk to, because they're going to help you find these internships, because you're going to be talking to them about people they know to stay in a warm network. So you have to, as you're teaching people this stuff, you're also teaching them why. And it could be, Dave, because if you just go in there's all this resources, but how do you help make it easier for them to avoid getting lost, or specifically to accomplish a particular goal? Like create a DJ playlist of, I'm having trouble with X, and you put a DJ playlist of resources together that they might want to look at. That adds a lot of value to the community.
Love that. Todd, anything, as we get in the last 5 minutes, anything, or by the way, there's two Todds. Todd Bookspan, anything you want to make sure gets pulled out of this, or anything you want to shine a light on for the Win by Noon?
I just loved it because Todd said what I always say, right? Is I think we're all lazy, right? We all inherently don't want to do more than we have to do. And, Jocko always says discipline is freedom. And it's the whole idea that if you're laser focused on what's most important from an activity perspective, figure out what you enjoy doing and what's going to have the highest payoff, then you can stack the odds in your favor so that being lazy actually pays off and helps you win. And so I love that example, Todd. I mean, I'd rather talk to 11 people than 80 something people in order to get an internship. And so I would just encourage you, as you kind of think through this, right? What are the opportunities that you have to make sure that your time is going to the best and most important activities right now. I'm disheartened when I talk to loan officers and real estate agents right now. I had two realtors that I know fairly well that both took jobs in the past couple of weeks. One is a part-time job, one took a full-time job. And I had been trying to encourage the realtors to do the activities that they knew they needed to do. They were just scared of doing them. They were in a position of fear. And so my heart goes out to any of you who feel like that is the position that you're in. But Todd has given us some actionable conversations that we can have that should bring that fear level down. So I would be lazy in your selection for who you're going to call today, and talk to them about their missing money, right? Don't just think of the first person that comes to your mind. That may not be the most impactful relationship that you have. I would spend a couple of minutes looking at your database. Might just be looking through your phone to see who's in your phone. But maybe think who are the most impactful 5 people that you can share that with. Maybe it's a real estate team leader who's got a team and you can come in and teach their team in the next week or two how they can do it. Maybe it's a broker who will let you come in and talk to their whole brokerage and teach their whole brokerage of how they can do it. And so just think about this strategically of who you should call, and then think about how you should approach them, right? Do you want to call them and just teach them how to do it over the phone? Or would you rather actually use it as the tool to get in their office, get in front of their teams, and then be the hero versus let them be the hero? So there's no right answer to any of this. I would just encourage you to think strategically about it, because ultimately Todd just gave us a fascinating example of how being lazy can pay off.
Yeah, one thing before we run out of time here, guys, I do want to just remind everyone that First Home IQ is in beta. We've added a bunch of ambassadors. You can go to the website, First Home IQ, and if you click on the loan officer realtor version, there's a place to become part of the community, join the community, and 2, become an ambassador. Our actual platform is up and active now. There is as an ambassador of the platform, you get into a preferred access with a special group of people that are all active donors and investors in the platform, and they're all actively bringing this to their market. But also I wanted you to know there is a First Home IQ score now, so please go take this test, share this test. I'll put a link to it in chat. Also, if you're watching the recording of this, the First Home IQ score is out, at least the first version of it. Anybody have any questions or comments around that before we go into wrap-up mode? And Todd, you should reach out to Chris, Todd Booksman, or no, excuse me, Todd Ballenger. You should reach out to Kristen with anything you think we should include in there. And it's time for you, if you haven't already logged in, make sure that you have a login and make sure you're active, and just reach out to Kristen if you don't have it.
I will. Got a couple ideas just from seeing what I just saw.
Yeah. Hey, Todd, how many people did we have in that original ambassador? Do you remember? Todd?
You're muted.
We launched with about 20. And so I would just encourage anybody who feels like they're passionate about helping Gen Z. And I think that's all of you, right? I mean, you're all part of this vibrant community. For me, my daughter's wedding was last weekend, so that was just a blast. It was just so much fun to, as a parent, to see her dream go off with pretty much without a hitch. But it was really funny to hear all the people who've seen the stuff that I've been tagged on by Dave and Kristen and ambassadors, and the posts that I've made around the nonprofit, and just how excited people are and what they think. They think, whatever, Todd, about the rest of the stuff that I do, but they are all super jazzed about that opportunity. And I had the time with the groomsmen and bridesmaids since I was at their beck and call, buying them food and making sure that they were taken care of, to talk to them about what it was like for them in school. And these are a bunch of highly educated Ivy League kids for the most part. And heck, in fact, I think all of them were. And so it was just really great to hear their belief in the need. And then also the ones who know me and follow me, that how they appreciated that I was part of the lead here and taking the charge. So I would just encourage you all to check it out. At least put your name in so you're part of the list so you see what's going on. And then if you
and I just looked at it, we've approved 37 ambassadors that are actually active and have, signed up, and we have over 70 who are on the waiting list. And so it's off to the races. And that would be my last point. We've been hearing stories from folks, while the main kind of call it the motion of everything is going out to high schools, colleges, in local communities and doing training. We've heard from a loan officer that called 150 realtors and said, "Hey, I'm a First Home IQ ambassador, and I'm doing blank, blank, and blank. Do you want to be part of this?" And he's like, almost all of them are like, "Hell yes." So it's brand building, it's connection, it's a reason to have a conversation. We're hearing from people that are like taking an app for someone, and they have kids, and they're starting to talk about planning to help your kids achieve home ownership earlier and faster. And just like the missing money conversation, if a parent is not planning ahead and they have the means to help their kids, they're either missing money for themselves or they're missing money for their kids if they're not planning. Last question, Todd, Bookspan, how early should parents start planning for their kids, home ownership?
When they're born, right? I mean, there's just so many opportunities to be thinking through as a grown-up. What's the conversation you want to have, right? I mean, certainly, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they can actually own a home until they're 18. But I do know some kids in their teens that are investing with their parents. So I think it's really whenever you feel like your kids are old enough to understand the conversation. My parents helped me buy my first home when I was 19, and that was the first home that I had as a rental afterwards and did a 1031 exchange on for the first time. And so, that was just a great opportunity. We talk about those ways to do that all the time. Certainly we can do a future call on that. Do you disagree, Todd Ballenger? What do you think the early age is to start talking to your kids about it?
I remember my daughter took a personal finance class in middle school, and that was the first time she started asking about we own our house, right? And if we didn't, would we pay rent? And so we started having that conversation early on. But again, I like to look for some kind of a natural trigger anytime they find a curiosity for it or something that you can kind of step in and talk about. And yeah, it's going to be more and more important unless real estate prices come down dramatically, that parents are going to have a much bigger role from a wealth transfer standpoint in helping kids get started in the housing market. Because if they don't, they're going to really struggle because of the compounding and the leverage. Housing is not going to get much cheaper over time unless the inventory picks up dramatically or our population starts to really drop. You got to get them going, and you can do that with gifting. Gifting tax-free each year to help prepare your kids so when they graduate, they've got a fund started for their down payment. There's lots of different ways to do it, but never too early. But it's helpful if they kind of know what you're talking about, right? You can have some frame of reference.
So we're having lots of First Home IQ stories come in with, I heard a story from a parent that bought a house in a neighborhood where they thought their kids would, it cash flows, they're making money on it, but it was in a neighborhood that, hey, someday that could be our kid's first house, and we want to buy it now to plan ahead. So, I think that's the biggest planner I've heard so far. And then I'm hearing more and more stories of people paying for college by buying their kids houses, either units or house hacking 3-bedroom homes. So, all right, guys, we're a little over. Todd Ballenger, it's good to see you.
Good to see you, man. Good to see you, Todd. I'll get you both here.
Yeah, there we go.
Everybody have a good weekend.
All right.
Take care, you guys.
Take care, everybody. See ya.